guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to see that you are back yet again. So today I'm going to be covering baking 101. I'm not an expert in baking, I'm not a makeup artist, but I've essentially watched enough videos and baked on myself for long enough to understand the subtle differences and the reasons why it's done. If you've clicked on this channel to find out how to bake, why people bake, and what is baking even, you've come to the right place. I'm going to cover all of those three questions in this video, so please stay tuned. So if you want to understand what baking is, essentially it's something that originated from the drag queen community way back in the day when they were putting on makeup and they wanted an even more flawless finish to their faces. They would literally put on a thick layer of concealer on their face, as well as other points that they wanted to highlight, which would be the chin, the cupid's bow, and the forehead. And then they would go in with a loose translucent or a loose powder to kind of set all of those areas that they've applied concealer on to make sure that they give kind of like a blurred effect on their faces. So baking has obviously transcended from the drag community into mainstream makeup, and people have their different variations of why they do it, how they do it, and how much concealer they'll actually apply. But my question is there really a need to apply that much concealer on your face firstly, and also to set your makeup or set the bake for 5 to 10 minutes? Like, I get why people do it, but for me as a practical person who has a 9 to 5 or who is not in the limelight kind of a thing, there really is no need to apply a bake that stark and that heavy on an everyday basis, more especially. Baking for that long usually does dry out your under eye, dries out your face. In this video, I'm going to show you how I believe going forward from 2020 onwards, how a normal person, like a non-YouTuber, a practical person, someone who has a 9 to 5, can actually bake, and how they can enhance their makeup through a baking process. If you want to see how I do it, and if you want to see all of my techniques, stay tuned to this video. Okay, so the first step before we even start baking is we need to apply our concealer. I'm coming onto camera and I've got my base on, which is basically my foundation. So where I like to conceal, because I don't like to conceal everywhere, I really like the most subtle kind of beat. I'm just going to take my mirror and I'm going to start putting dots underneath my eye, because that's where I believe I've got like the darkness, and I would like to brighten that up under my eye. And if you can see, I've literally done a line underneath my eye because that's where I truly believe the concealer has to go on my face personally. And the product that I'm using now is the Instant Age Eraser by Maybelline, and I absolutely love it. So my shade is tan, or the tan I'm using in this video is, the color I'm using in this video is tan. So I'm going to go in with my sponge, and not even a damp one, because what I found with the damp one is it does kind of unsettle my foundation underneath, so I don't personally wet it anymore. You're going to blend all of that out, and you're going to be sure to stop around here, okay? You don't want to go beyond the end of your eyebrow, let's say. Pat it all the way down. And I like to bring it down here around my smile lines as well, because I'm going to set my smile lines. Okay. I really like this concealer because it's like so easy to blend. And I've just applied my concealer under my eyes. I also went on the bridge of my nose, and I took my concealer down right here when I was blending it out from under my eyes. I think you can actually see the line of demarcation, but that will all be covered towards the end. And I also took my concealer all the way up around my forehead. So basically now is a point in time in your makeup routine where you decide, okay, I'm going to bake. And remember, as I mentioned, the reason why we bake is to make sure that we have a flawless complexion. You can use it to brighten, but essentially your concealer does that. This is just to like set your concealer and set all of the areas that you've actually gone in and applied concealer. So I'm going to use my Mercier. I've already dipped some of the powder onto my lid. What I like to do is, after I've dipped in my sponge, I blow it. That gives you a very thin kind of layer to work with and apply on your face. I'm going to apply it everywhere that I've basically put my concealer on, and if you can see, it looks really natural. Like, that thin layer was really great. It won't leave you looking grey as well, and that's what I like about using the thinnest layer. So I'm going to do my other eye before it creases, and you basically like press it in, you know, you don't brush it around. Then I'm going to take it around my lips, as I had mentioned, or around my mouth. Okay, once I'm satisfied with that, I'm just going to leave it, okay? And then I'm going to move on to setting everything else, like my chin, my cupid's bow, and my nose and my forehead. See, literally like the lightest amount of powder, very light. And that's essentially how I prefer to bake, because there really is no need to apply that much powder, unless of course you have like a drag queen competition. So I'm gonna go in on the sides of my mouth again to prevent creasing. Kind of need to set your smile lines. With the smallest amount of product, if you guys can see. So now I'm going to take my powder brush and I'm just going to brush around or over my face overall. There really is no need because of the thin layer that we applied, but just to ensure like a flawless look, that's what I'm going to go in and do. So what I'm going to use to set the rest of my face before I continue with my makeup is I'm going to use my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Neutral in dark. Just going to dip my brush, tap it off, and go all over the areas that I didn't set with my Laura Mercier. That means it's all around here as well. And all around here, which is essentially around the area where I concealed. I also like to kind of set my eyebrows so the oil doesn't break through. And I like this powder because it is actually a very sheer powder, and that's essentially how I believe you should be baking in 2020. Guys, please remember, don't take offense, I'm not a makeup artist, but I just do things that like the practical person would do with makeup. I'm not a makeup artist, but I've basically played around with my makeup enough to understand what complements me and what is practical and what actually works for my circumstances and for the line of business I'm in, which is in corporate South Africa. This whole like full face baking every single day is just not going to cut it in the office. As you can see right now, I am a bit highlighted under my eyes, which is exactly what we want with baking. I've also set my forehead, which is added like a nice brightening layer, and I've also set the bridge of my nose. So let me finish off the rest of our makeup and then I'll be back on camera to show you my final look. Okay guys, and there we have it. This is the final look of how I will be baking in 2020. Not to say that this is how you should be baking, but I basically wanted to come onto camera to tell you guys the reasons why you should be baking more subtly than more harshly, because you can still achieve the same outcome with a light layer of powder as opposed to literally packing on the powder and leaving it on for like 5 to 10 minutes. If you have any other questions around how I bake, why I bake, and anything else around baking, please can you leave your comments down below and I will get back to them as I always do. Other than that, thank you so much for tuning into the channel and giving this video a watch. I hope you give it a thumbs up because you like it, and I hope that you also hit that subscribe button and turn your notification bell so you don't miss out on my other back to basics videos that I'll be dropping in the month of January. Okay guys, bye.